In today's Leeds news, Leeds and SCR, what the new rules actually mean, Aaronson World Cup call-up, Beckford's advice to Harry Gray, and rumour mill stories on Sebastian Bornauw, Karl Darlow and Jovan Lukic. Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View for Wednesday the 27th of May with your Leeds United news. Jer here. I hope you're having a really good week so far, enjoying the sunshine. A couple of little brief updates to give you. We'll start to see some slight changes to the look and feel of the channel over the next couple of weeks. Nothing major like last season, just a fresh lick of paint. We'll continue to work on the designs that were given to us by James Wallace last season, just to, new season, new kit, that kind of thing. So you can keep an eye out for those little changes, thumbnails, graphics, that kind of stuff. Nothing major though. A little bit of a background change here as well. Also, podcast will be out tomorrow night, not tonight. So if you're looking out for that later on, wait till tomorrow night. We'll try and get that one out to you then. If you want to check out Monday's podcast, you can. That's still available on the channel. Link at the end of today's video. We got a bit of stuff to get stuck in today. We're going to start off with Leeds and SCR model, a bit more of a deep dive into this to see where Leeds United sit in the new financial model. So we covered the Pragmarate statement to the fans already this week, and Kieran Maguire via the Yorkshire Evening Post has had a look at Leeds United's status under the new SCR model. So given that article is out there and people are talking about it, a Pragmarate statement, we thought we should do probably a little bit more of a deep dive into exactly what the SCR model means for Leeds United and where we sit in this. As we know, this summer, PSR goes out the door and SCR comes in, our squad cost ratio, which will cap what a club can spend on players at 85% of their football revenue. And that's if you're not playing European football next season. If you're in Europe, that is capped at 70% of football revenue. And that line is really, really important. Football revenue. Can't be selling hotels to yourself anymore moving forward. So basically, the more money that you bring in terms of football-related revenue, the more money that you can spend on the pitch. So what's the difference between the two? PSR measured a club's overall profit and loss across an entire business. Clubs who have been in the Premier League for 3 years or more could lose up to 105 million. Newly promoted clubs were only allowed to lose 61 million, so they were at a significant disadvantage. It rewarded clubs that had a stronger player trading model, who bought cheap and sold high, and that will become pretty clear as to why certain clubs voted against this as we start to go through this a little bit and why they would be opposed to changing this rule. I think you can probably guess who those clubs would be already. SCR, though, and what it means, it focuses purely on on-pitch spending rather than the whole business. It caps your squad's costs at 85% of football-related revenue. That includes player wages, that includes agent fees, that includes managers' wages and transfer fees in and out of the club. The more revenue that you can generate, the more that you can spend, and clubs are assessed equally regardless of how long they've spent in the Premier League. As we know, Leeds United voted against the new SCR model. Leeds wanted tweaks done to it rather than not wanting it in at all. They didn't get what they wanted, but 5 other clubs voted with Leeds United against that model. And those clubs were Bournemouth, Palace, Brighton, Brentford and Fulham. Now you can guess already which 3 of those clubs have a model that fitted the old version rather than the new one. Bournemouth, Brighton and Brentford, whole entire model of running their clubs has been based on the old PSR model of buying cheap and selling high, specifically Brighton and Brentford over the last couple of years. And that will impact them now as well. And it will impact Bournemouth from a stadium attendance perspective, which is why they're trying to redevelop their stadium as well at this moment in time. From a Leeds perspective, Leeds voted against it because pure and simply the math didn't add up for Leeds in the short term. Under PSR, Leeds could spend more in this summer's window and next summer's window. And that's the short term part of this. The new system helps clubs that have got massive stadiums and massive match day revenue. So right now, Leeds are not in that bracket. They will be in a couple of years' time. And at that point, it will start to work for Leeds United, but in the shorter term, it will be a little bit tighter than it was last summer. So where do Leeds United sit with this then? Well, it's pretty straightforward. SCR hurts us a little bit more than PSR in the short term. Our revenue base isn't big enough yet to unlock the serious spending that you'll get under that 85% cap, but the Ellen Road redevelopment is massive and is key to this. Bigger ground means bigger revenue and bigger allowances under that new model. As we know, we voted against it due to our own projections showing PSR gave us slightly more spending power in the short and immediate term. But in 2 or 3 years, if Leeds United can stay in the Premier League, SCR would start to work in Leeds United's favour. And as I say, the development road will be a major part of this. So right now, though, it is a bit of a constraint the Leeds will have to work within, or at least try and work around, which again, if you go back to Pragmarate's points that he made in his address to the fans, He wasn't making a statement that basically said Leeds United are going to do it on the cheap. What he was saying was players will have to leave as well as players will come in. Leeds will have to rebalance the squad better, and having bodies around the place isn't going to be beneficial to Leeds anymore. They've got to have players in the squad that are actually covering positions and can make an impact where they need it. And as I say, it includes player wages, it includes transfer fees, manager-related fees, and transfer fees and agent fees. So what it means is Morate, as I say, wasn't trying to do a summer on the cheap, but what he was making it very clear was there is expectations that need to be managed going into the summer because of the SCR model, and the signings will have to be far more strategic. Now, to be fair to Leeds United ownership, over the last couple of years, I would say most of Leeds signings have been fairly strategic, so it still fits there. But what will be very important here is making sure they can maximise the sale values of players that will leave the club this summer. And that's an area, as we said yesterday, Leeds have struggled with over the last couple of years. They need to make sure that they can get more money in for players that are leaving, and then that money can be spent on the pitch. This doesn't go in anybody's pockets. It's football-related revenue. They go straight back into the football side of the business. But Leeds aren't the worst case scenario here by any stretch of the imagination. Clubs that have smaller stadiums will be impacted by this an awful lot more because, again, matchday revenue is a huge factor in this. Clubs coming up from the Championship as well will fall into this bracket, smaller crowds. So, yeah, if you're a Bournemouth, this is a little bit trickier for you than it is for Leeds. Leeds will still have a decent crowd over the next couple of years, although there'll be slight reductions because of the stadium development, despite the fact Leeds are going to build around the existing stand to make sure that we still have as many people in the ground as we possibly can. But longer term, if they can stay up, get that redevelopment work done, Leeds could be in a much stronger position. But we've got to navigate the next two summers cleverly if we are to be in that position. We'll move on for now. Brendan Aaronson has been rewarded for his work this season with Leeds United with a call-up to the USMNT squad for this summer's World Cup tournament. Aaronson was confirmed in Maurizio Pochettino's 26-man squad yesterday, and Aaronson had 9 goal contributions this season for Leeds United, the exact same as Noah Okafor, and just behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who had 15 in total. And Aaronson also topped the high-intensity pressures league table in the Premier League this season from Opta, essentially pressing stats. 1,931 ahead of Igor Thiago, Elliot Anderson and Enzo Lefebvre. He joins Gabby Goodmunson, Out Tanaka and Noah Okafor on planes this summer to the US for the World Cup. Best of luck to Brendan and everyone else involved. Let's move on. Harry Gray got his first real taste of senior football this season, and a relegation fight in League One at Rotherham will definitely put more meat on your bones than most places. And he did manage to get his first senior goals, his first senior assist, and still all at the tender age of just 17 years old. His next step will be very interesting and equally important. Former Leeds United number 9 Jermaine Beckford has been speaking about Harry Gray, and he wants to see him move up a level next season and play in the Championship, and they're loan for him, but one that he says would definitely speed up his development for Leeds United. Gray has already made it very, very clear that he wants to break into the Leeds United first team, and that getting a loan at a Championship club next season and getting plenty of minutes under his belt would definitely help to speed up that process. Beckford himself has had a share of loans over the course of his career. Leeds brought him in from Wealdstone, and then they loaned him out to Carlisle and Scunthorpe before he eventually came back to the club and scored 71 goals in 126 appearances. So he knows what he's talking about, and he doesn't believe that we should rush Harry Gray's development right now. And speaking on the topic, he said the following: "Just not to rush. We all get excited because we see how much quality he's got, and he's very, very good. Let's not beat around the bush. We want him here for a long, long time, and we want to have longevity in his career, and the only way you're going to get that is by taking the right steps at the right time." The move to Rotherham was a good move for him on a personal level because he started to play men's football, and that's completely different from under 21s. Now the next step for him, I feel, has got to be the next level up from that. Beckford believes that alone the Championship and Championship football will add new attributes, will add more strings to his bow, with more ground level football and higher intensity footballing speed, and that will all help him in his development and speed it up. And Beckford thinks that his loan will also bring personal growth to Harry Gray, which is important, and he would know what he's talking about, being a man who, as I said, had plenty of loans in the early part of his career, not just Carlisle and Scunthorpe. He also was on loan at Uxbridge while he was at Wealdstone as well, so he knows what he's talking about in this situation. He went on to be a very strong striker for Leeds United in League One, and then eventually a Premier League level striker as well. So if there's advice to come from anybody, I think you can take it from Jermaine Beckford on this topic. Let's move on again to the rumour mill territory and take all of this with a healthy pinch of salt until it is confirmed. A couple of outs and ins in the rumour mill section today. We'll start off with Sebastian Bornauw, and according to Bild in Germany, FC Cologne are planning their summer business after surviving another season in the Bundesliga. Bild claimed that Leeds centre-half and former FC Cologne player Sebastian Bornauw is very high on their shopping list coming into this summer. The defence is an area they want to fix up, and Bornauw is someone they see as adding to that area. From a Leeds perspective, Leeds would want to, at minimum, recoup the amount of money they spent on Bornauw, or hopefully get more given the new financial model. But again, considering that new financial model, Leeds might just think it's better off to hang on to somebody like Sebastian Bornauw, and he might have a bigger part to play next season. He was very good for Leeds this season when he was called upon. There was no issues with him at all. So we'll see what next season brings for him. But at the moment, there is some interest in Germany in Bornauw. Let's talk about Karl Darlow. According to Daily Mail journalist Simon Jones, he says that Spurs are not just interested in a move for Leeds United goalkeeper Karl Darlow this summer, they're also looking at James Trafford. Jones also points out that as far as he is aware, Spurs have already made contact with Karl Darlow's agents and have labelled it as sounding out the Leeds United goalkeeper's interest at this moment in time. A Spurs move for Darlow could see him move in as a backup, especially if they're trying to sign a number one as well, someone like a James Trafford or someone of that level. So that might not interest Karl Darlow at this point in his career. He's had a good season with Leeds, and his situation with Leeds United needs to get sorted out pretty quickly, and he needs to know where he sits with Leeds. If Leeds can say to him, yeah, you're number one going into the start next season, maybe he stays at Leeds and signs a new deal. It depends whether he wants to back himself now as a number one going into the next season, or he's happy to stay as a squad option for Spurs or for Leeds United. Either way, contract expires in June. Leeds need to get this one sorted as soon as they can. He's been excellent for Leeds the back end of last season and most of this season. So for me, it's a no-brainer, get him locked down, but it depends on what the player wants at this moment in time as well. On the incoming side, according to Sports Boom, as an exclusive, I'd still take this with a pinch of salt, they're saying that Leeds United are leading the race for MLS side Philadelphia Union's midfielder Jovan Lukic. Celta Vigo in Spain are also said to be a side that are very interested in him, but Sports Boom claim that Leeds United are the ones that are the front runners at this moment in time. Sports Boom source says Leeds are understood to have genuine interest in the player at this moment in time, and he is interested in a move to the Premier League. I mean, he would be, to be completely honest. The valuation of the player at this moment in time is said to be around €3 million. That's about 2.1-ish, £2 million. So not a huge fee. Leeds could be looking at bringing in a different type of defensive player and maybe selling a few on for profit that they've already got right now, but it is a big jump from the MLS to the Premier League. He is described as a ball-winning midfielder. He's 24 years of age. His contract expires at the end of next season, so there's a couple of boxes there that we can check off. He's a fairly technical player as well, but very much a defensive-minded midfielder. Interesting one to keep an eye on, but it is an MLS move to the Premier League. It's a massive jump. He's a good age. It's a very cheap fee. You don't know, but I would take that one with a healthy pinch of salt for right now. Sports Boom, not overly reliable at this moment in time. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Keep an eye out for the podcast tomorrow night. Back in the morning for more Leeds news. You can check out Monday's podcast as well, which I'll link down below here right now. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you like the content, you can like the video or subscribe to the channel for more of this every single day. And I will talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.